podcast is powered by Control. Control is a meal replacement and functional foods business whose mission is to improve the lifestyles of gamers and content creators by making them healthier. Their meal replacement shakes and meal-on-the-go bars are the best tasting products in their category while also giving you all the protein, vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients you need to keep you going. Check out drinkcontrol.com and try out the sample kits to see what all the hype is about.
Hello, friends. After an extended delay to go live due to some technical issues, it's Sik and Nick here for the XboxEra podcast, episode 135. And joining me, as always, is Special Nick.
What's going on?
I'll tell you what's going on. We've got the lovely Bartek, creative director of the most interesting-looking Metroidvania I've seen since Ori and the Blind Forest.
Since Ori, yeah.
Bartek from PlotTwist, how you doing?
Hi, good day.
Or good evening for us. Good morning for Nick.
yes. No, I like the g'day because when he jumped into Discord and said g'day, I'm like, hold on a second. Why is a man from Poland saying g'day? And then he explained why, and I totally understood.
He's on the ball. He knows how to play the game. That's what it is. But hey, it's really good to have you, and thank you for putting up with some slight technical wobbles. And apologies, chat. We can see you all complaining. I mean, debating on what the problem was, but it's fine now. Everything's fine now. So yes, look, slightly different episode this week. Probably won't be too news focused because we want to know a little bit more about the last case of Benedict Fox. You know, when we did a react show, Bartek, just for your benefit. When we watched the usual Microsoft and all the other gaming live streams. And I think immediately Nick was definitely louder. Like I was like, this looks really good. Like we both love a really good, get lost in it a bit, kind of Metroidvania style game.
I love Metroidvanias so much.
But the art style, the whole premise with, you know, the kind of Lovecraftian twists, we were really hyped when we saw it. So Nick's been going on about it forever, and I know he was super pleased to be able to get you on the show. Where did PlotTwist come from? And just for the benefit of the audience, I know we chatted a little bit off air, but for everyone that's watching, you know, is PlotTwist new? Have you guys been around for a while? How did you come into existence?
Yes, so it's our first game as PlotTwist, but actually the company is like 13 years old. So earlier we were in the early days we were making mobile games, and after that we dabbled some for a few years in software, and in the meantime. We still ported our games from mobile to other consoles, and the software is good. There's money there, but we always dreamt of making some cool story-driven games. So once we came up with the idea for Benedict Fox, the boss said, "Okay, we're going all in." He divided the company into two companies. Awesome Industries is still doing the software, and PlotTwist is fully focused on creating the last case of Benedict Fox.
That's amazing. So literally, it was a bunch of developers' dreams. Doing this software stuff's boring. Can we be cool? Can we be cool game devs? And the boss was into it enough to be like, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly the truth. Because that's I awesome. Remember, there was a long split where we were making mostly apps. About scanning feet. So after creating like 30 demos of feet scanning apps, I was
Hold on, you said feet. Did you say feet? As in feet that we walk on feet.
Yes, Nick. Where all your current OnlyFans subscriptions go to?
Exactly. Now the internet loves feet. Suddenly it's
Yeah,
fashionable.
yeah. The internet really loves feet.
Lot of money
Yeah.
to be made in feet nowadays, folks. Those feet stocks are really taking off.
That's true. Yeah.
Wow.
Man,
So the original
cool.
company is still technically there doing its thing.
Yeah. They still are creating
Interesting.
software solutions. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. And so that means that this is the first PlotTwist game.
Yeah. That's
PlotTwist
true.
specifically, even though there's the mobile games and stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, and not that many people from the original Awesome Industries crew joined PlotTwist. We built whole team almost specifically to create this game. So it's a team tailored to make this game.
That's
Yeah,
wicked.
yeah.
That is wicked. So
Yeah,
good.
And we have like a variety of people, full mix from developers that worked on Cyberpunk or The Witcher or Gears of War, with some fresh blood, with some people from theaters, from the marketing agencies, because it's hard to hire talented people for new company.
yeah.
So we had to search everywhere. Yeah.
So that's interesting to me because I forget for a second. Of course, Poland. Most people go, when they think of game development studios outside of CD Projekt Red, most people go with your traditional US based studios or maybe someone in the UK. But if you actually think about it, you mentioned Gears. Am I wrong in thinking, is it People Can Fly, the guys that did Gears of War Judgment? They're Polish, if memory serves.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. So there's actually, frankly, a huge amount of talent in the country, right? So
there's Stefan, who did Dying Light, for example.
Oh, of course, yeah.
There's Bloober, who made the Medium or Layers of Fear.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's 11-bit Studios, who made This War of Mine. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I forgot about this. That wicked game as well.
We love games. Yeah.
Bit heartbreaking, This War of
Mine.
And there's actually a game from a Polish studio, Flying Wild Hog, that we will have a review from this week for Evil West.
See, look.
That's right, Evil West.
I love the name, by the way. Yeah. Of the company. Yeah.
And I'll tell you everything I can about the game very soon.
Yeah.
Very soon. Very soon. That's very tentatively worded.
So that begs the question, because PlotTwist. How old is the PlotTwist studio roughly?
Around 2 years old.
Wow.
Okay.
About 2 years old. Yeah, but the idea for the game came up earlier, but we had to prepare. We had to plan some things. So for some time, maybe a year, I was working in the software, and after the software hours, I was planning, writing the story, and trying to figure out what the hell am I doing, and how to convince boss to go all in.
Yeah. So that begs the question then. So, Moon Studios was unique in that it was one of the first studios to be a fully remote studio, and that was obviously pre-COVID. It sounds like you guys were setting up the studio smack bang almost in the middle of COVID. Is most of the studio based in Poland, or do you have the remote aspect of it as well?
So definitely most is from Poland, because we still work in the studio, and Kraków is not that big of a city, so we mostly come from Kraków. But we do have some freelancers that work in Ukraine, but the COVID is not the issue, the war is.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Imagine that must be difficult to juggle.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's
like there was a very recent scare for you guys, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was. So it was a huge unknown for one night whether are we at war or not.
Yeah.
So it's stressful, but it's still nothing compared to what guys have in Ukraine, because we still work with guys who for example, there's a guy who makes animations for us. And sometimes he just says, guys, I maybe won't have electricity for a few days. Or, for example, I would love to do this and this, but I need to go with my wife to Kiev, which is still sometimes being targeted by rockets. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be back, and so on. So it's heartbreaking.
That's terrible.
I can't imagine like how difficult that must be. So, you know, for those developers that are suffering through that, and still, because we have to remember, us fans of games, you know, sometimes for a developer, okay, I might love games, but this is also my paycheck. This is the way I support my family, you know. But the fact that you've got to try and remain creative under that kind of pressure is mind-blowing to me. Like,
we were talking about it recently due to this whole situation that how many studios in Ukraine were in our situation where they had the game, the idea, maybe it was already funded, but they suddenly had to grab a gun and go to the front, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah,
that
crazy.
Is
unbelievable.
Genuinely terrifying. Like the prospect of that. Like, and it's weird as I was having this conversation with some friends of mine. You rewind like, I don't know, 40 years or something, and you know, people would be forced to go and do that, or 50 years. And indeed in Russia we're seeing, for all of the I don't know, the pomp of it, no one actually in his country wants to fight this bloody war. Like, no one's for it. It's not like it's a good idea. And yet, you know, I live in a world where it's really unlikely that my government will turn around and say, you have to go. But for some people, that is reality. That scares the crap out of me.
I've recently been on a vacation in South Korea, and those few weeks ago, it was a weird sight to see young guys that are in uniforms going on the trains, probably to the unit or back to their families, because they don't have the luxury to not be trained and so on. And just this last week scared me shitless that I might be, and my friends and maybe whole of the studio might be somewhere in the trenches soon.
Good Lord.
Fortunately, it didn't happen, of course, but you know, it's
makes you think.
It's an ever present situation, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah. For us, for sure, especially if when it started, when Poland accepted the refugees, and you're going to work like every day, but you hear all of those Ukrainian voices, and you only see women with children, and you know that somewhere there, like 300, 400 kilometers away, the husbands and brothers and fathers are fighting. So it's like unimaginable.
Yeah, man. It's getting a little heavy here. So let's talk some video games.
Mate, that's the reality of the situation, though.
It's bad. It's not good, is it?
We love video games, and we love talking video games, and we love games being made in Poland, but that's the situation. Like, look what happened with the Stalker devs.
Yeah,
exactly.
That got very real for them. The game got delayed because of it.
Yeah.
Like it's
and the Cool 2D 2.5D title Replaced. Those guys are probably from Belarus, I think.
Yeah.
And they
another game that I'm very much looking forward to. Looks really
it looks so good.
Cool.
Looks so good.
Yeah.
Man, we're spoiled. We're spoiled for really clever indie games at the moment, and I guess that does lead me nicely, segues me nicely into a question I wanted to ask. So, creative director, you know, I'm presuming that's overseeing the general direction, the story beats. You know, you might not be in the weeds necessarily, you know, in code and things like that, but you have the kind of final say on what Benedict looks like and what this level and the themes and things like that, and you kind of give it the green tick before it all comes together. Has that been a new experience for you, coming from the company, where you were making mobile games before, into a more narrative-driven kind of console world comparatively?
Yeah. It's,
I love it if you were a bad guest and just went, yes. And then just stopped.
Yeah. It's completely new, and for many of us in the studio, it's a new experience. And the better that we have those few guys who are extremely experienced, who worked on both some games that in Poland are considered like cult classics, like Ciao the Kangaroo. I don't know if you maybe know
Nick's a big fan.
Oh,
KO the Kangaroo.
Yeah.
Big fan is Nick. Yeah.
So actually, our CEO and the art director was one of the guys responsible for creating the IP, because it's it's a old IP. It had like 2 parts.
It's been around a while.
And there was one remake recently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Got some DLC too.
Yeah, exactly. So under their guidance and with some fresh ideas, we're trying to do the game. Yeah. Sometimes it's just blind luck, and sometimes we ask ourselves, how the hell are we at the E3, even if it's not called E3, or at the Gamescom, but somehow we are. Yeah.
What was that like? Go on, Nick,
that's what I was going to ask. Yeah, like how was it? Like, so technically, it's the first game as PlotTwist. Yeah. So how did it feel that like your first game is being? It's a feature Xbox game. It was featured. I'm trying to remember. Was it E3 that it was? It was first revealed at E3, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this time I won't be humble. We were aiming to be at the top. We know that we do have the technical know-how, how to do beautiful games, software, whatever. We have the experienced coders. We have great artists. We knew that technically it will be good enough. We just didn't know if the story, if the idea will be sufficient. But fortunately, after we sent the pitch to many publishers and among them Xbox. Xbox team responded very quickly. They were extremely positive, and just after the first email, maybe 1 month later, they asked whether we would like to create a trailer for the E3.
Wow!
And a few weeks later, guys from the Game Pass contacted us.
Hey guys!
So it was a lightning fast cooperation between us. It clicked from the start.
That's awesome. I mean, and it must have been quite a thrill to see, I guess, it up in that kind of format in front of everybody. Yes, you guys have been around for 13 years doing software, but to go from feet to E3 must have been yes, this is great.
Nowadays, arguably, you don't know whether feet are bigger than E3, but
I don't know, man. Feet are pretty big these days, man.
Yeah, they are pretty
big. You got, mate, Benedict Fox has got some work ahead of it if it's going to top feet.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's
God. What is wrong with the world?
The war is our least problem.
It's feet. They're the real culprits.
Feet is the real enemy.
Feet are coming.
Right.
Oh man.
So it was huge for us, huge, and part of it is because we were working on it for 1.5 years without telling anyone.
Wow.
So we were, as Awesome Industries, we are a very successful software company. So we were able to fully fund the game ourselves. So it was a huge question for us whether people will like it, and we were iterating on the ideas over the gameplay and so on. Even the story, we've came up with the story, and we didn't know exactly how to test it because we didn't want to make some early prototypes just to after 6 or 12 months end up with a game that's kind of fine and the story is completely shitty. So we've made we've made a RPG adventure, and with this story, and we've played it through firstly with our friends, then in the studio with the leads of the coders and the lead artist and with the boss. And after we were happy with the story, only then we started working on the game. And after a year and maybe 2 months, we decided, okay, we are sick of the project. We need to show someone, and someone needs to tell us if it's good or if it's complete shit. So, and after some iterations, we sent it to Microsoft. And
Look, mate, for the next project, I'll throw my hat in the ring. If you want to send the game my way, and I'll tell you.
Okay.
If you want to, I'll break your game. I'll tell you if it's no good.
Bartek, he's the wrong man. This is a man that skips cutscenes no matter what.
Oh no!
If you want someone to pay attention to your work, come to someone else in the team.
I've already talked with Nick. He's blacklisted. Break the game. Now I know he skips the cutscenes
every time, man, and then goes, "Well, it was rubbish."
Yeah.
Oh no! I like if you go back, I should have queued up the video with Jesse before the show. If you go back and watch the E3 show, as soon as Benedict Fox, I was the one that was like.
He was jumping up and down.
Yeah, we watched the reaction.
That was my game of the show straight away before I had seen anything else.
I remember and I appreciate it. Yeah, I remember your tweet. It was one of the first things we came across when we searched for reactions, and we were like, yes. At least one guy gets it. Yeah.
And that's why I was bugging the PlotTwist Twitter account. I was like, give us someone. We want someone on. We want someone on.
You looked on his profile and you were like, oh, no, he's Australian.
Yeah, and our guy from Perth was like, nah, man.
Melbourne, full of shit.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was... So, the PlotTwist Twitter account, is that the Perth guy? Or is it someone else? It is him.
Yeah, it's mostly him and one guy from our publisher, from Rogue Games. Yeah, and they switch.
Yes, that's right. Rogue is the publisher, and is that so? That's where Matt. Is that where Matt Casamassina is?
Yeah, exactly. That's Rogue Games. Yeah.
Yes, that's why. When I saw Matt Casamassina quote tweet me, I'm like. Where did Matt Casamassina... Because he used to be at IGN. He was the Nintendo guy at IGN. And I'm like, what's Matt Casamassina doing with my tweet? And then I looked into him and he's at Rogue Games now, isn't he?
Yeah. There is few guys from IGN. Yeah. It's super experienced crew from different sides of our industry.
That's pretty cool that you can go
very knowledgeable and very he has some great contacts.
Having.
Mate, the game looks my god, looks so good. I can't wait.
I
was spewing it was next year. I was hoping it was this year, but it's next year. Hey,
No, honestly.
we don't get an exclusive date, do we, for the show?
No, you don't.
I
No,
love that.
We're
He's
not big enough
falling for
yet.
that
We're
one.
not big enough yet.
No, you don't.
I'm banned from about dates. So it's still spring next year.
Spring, so
Yeah,
our
we can
autumn.
deal with that.
Okay.
Right? We can deal with spring. Spring's fine. Like I can handle that. Is it? I mean, and I guess for folks perhaps if they missed the trailer, right? And even then, the trailer was a little bit ambiguous, right? Benedict Fox is, I presume, a Sherlock Holmesy type character. He's a detective of some sort, and he's investigating the last case of Benedict Fox. Happens to be his father. Is that? Am I right? So, could you give us, give the audience like a nutshell, like what is that opening gambit to get you kind of hooked in, like without spoiling too much, because you know.
So Benedict is a self-proclaimed detective, and connected at birth to a demon with another dimension, and it gives him this awesome power to enter human psyche and venture through memories. But also it's a curse that is slowly killing him. So now he has only one night left to figure out the case of the murder in the house, and also find a way to maybe detach from the demon or find a solution so he and his demon companion can live.
Wow.
Wow, and that's all wrapped in a Metroidvania too.
That's true. It's
That's gonna be so
with
good.
our own twist on the genre.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
that's
excited
gonna be
already.
so good.
I cannot wait to review that one myself.
What?
Bullshit.
You're not allowed
Bullshit.
to.
No.
So 2 copies for you, for Jesse and for Sik, and
Yeah.
Nick is lucky that, maybe the next title.
Bartek's
best
is
we've
my
ever
new
had.
favorite guest.
No way. That's bullshit.
You were the most enthusiastic, but
Skipping
I'll watch the cutscenes. I'll watch the cutscenes. I'll watch them. It's
yeah,
fine.
sure.
Just make it so they can't be skipped, and then it forces me to watch them.
and let's show now the reel where Nick is talking about cutscenes in God of War. How long do they take? How awful is it? Yeah.
Oh my god, they're so long. There's so many of them. There's so many of them.
But don't worry, they at least will be skippable in our game.
Oh, you shouldn't tell him that. You shouldn't tell him that. You should make him have to watch them.
Yeah, so his version won't have the skip button.
Yeah.
You've got a specific patch just for my copy where I can't skip them at all.
They're gonna play twice for you.
Jeez, he's gonna be gone now. He's off. He's off.
Oh god, we've actually got a super chat from Gary Bartek. Don't worry too much about the story being a hit by itself. Having a great art style lets the player's mind build on the story in their own way. I am hyped.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
the art style is
Yeah,
gorgeous.
the
So
whole
good.
team is so talented, and they work so hard on. One of the goals was, since Metroidvania is mostly about exploring, we need to talk about how to reward player for exploration, and every game has some different solutions, and we do have our own. But the goal was let the environments, let the art, let the visual spectacle be one of the rewards. So we put so much emphasis on environments to be beautiful and to be unique. It's probably gonna be one of the most unique environmental-wise Metroidvanias, because there will be so little environments that so little recycling.
Nice.
It will blow some people's minds. Yeah.
Oh,
Especially 3D artists.
it was blowing my mind just from the first trailer. The game. I didn't think the game could get much better than that. But yeah, now that you say that it's a detective story with a twist on Metroidvania, I'm surprised that hasn't been done more in the past. Because if you're trying to find clues for stuff in the world of a Metroidvania, where a traditional Metroidvania, there's a lot of backtracking because you got a new ability here that unlocks a door over there. But this is a detective story in effect.
Yeah.
So that becomes very, very interesting in a Metroidvania.
Yeah, exactly. It started for us. It started the other way around. We had the story, and I was reading the story to my friend who is like my voice of reason, and
we all have one of those.
Yeah. And you go there and you do this and it unlocks this and now you try to focus on this and so on. And he's like, are you trying to tell me it's a Metroidvania without telling me it's a Metroidvania? And I'm like, it is a Metroidvania. And it kind of evolved into a Metroidvania. And also when we try to design the environments, whenever you try to tackle like a human mind and human psyche, which is already maze-like, you end up with such a labyrinth of locations that Metroidvania is one of the best way to play in a labyrinth, right?
Yeah.
Because you can start completely as a linear game and then end up with a full open world, right?
Yeah.
So the only challenge is to still have a focused story, because the player can visit different locations at different points, and he can somewhat break the flow of the game, and so it's a challenge to make a story that will make sense and will have some planned plot twist, or it won't. Who knows?
Hey, they said the name of their studio and in reference to the game. It's like in that thing. Oh, man. So I'm curious, right? You're going out there with a Metroidvania, a genre that is loved, as you can tell from many reactions online when it got announced.
So much.
But you're also now going up against what I think is probably some of the giants now in the industry have dabbled in Metroidvania, right? And personally, for me, my absolute favorite in recent years, and it's probably high on your list as well if you've played it, is Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Gorgeous, beautiful art, Studio Ghibli style come to life, and extremely accomplished gameplay wise. I'm curious, do you look around you're in the industry and think, can we compete? Do you think you can? And are there big inspirations beyond just like more modern Metroidvanias? Do you have sort of big fans of classic ones like Metroid, for example, and other games where you're like, oh, I really wonder if we can bring this back in?
Yeah. We do love Ori games, but and we are being compared to them, but actually it wasn't the inspiration, and the art style started much grimmer than it is right now. So we started with something else, and by searching for our own unique style and adding some colors and trying to make those beautiful environments, we've ended up with something that kind of resembles Ori or maybe Trine or something like that.
Oh, I don't think it does resemble it. I'm just curious if, I think they brought in such a love of art into that genre of game that now the unfortunate reality is when other people announce them, everyone kind of holds that up to the candle from a presentation point of view. And I think that's arguably why Nick got so excited, because not only was it a Metroidvania, but it looked as beautiful as Ori games do, which is a kudos to the team, because there's some pretty games.
We knew that we are able to make something that will be considered one of the most beautiful games.
Nice.
but when we first heard that people compare us to Ori, we were like, "Oh yeah, thankfully we made it. We made
yeah,
it."
it's a compliment, right? It's a good thing.
Of course, it's a huge honor for us. And gameplay wise, we actually search everywhere for inspirations. We play a lot of games from different genres, and even like AAA games nowadays have more and more Metroidvania elements in them. So
They
for
really
example,
do.
yeah, I haven't played the Ragnarok, but the first God of War, like not the first, the recent
2018.
one, 2018. It was kind of like a Metroidvania.
It was. It is
yeah.
a Metroidvania. 100% it is.
Yeah, and for example, one of my most beloved games, Control, also great Metroidvania elements.
I've got that too.
Yeah, great ideas for backtracking, for how to keep the things fresh when it comes to revisiting some areas. And maybe it's kind of like with Dark Souls games, and they created their own genre, but right now what they've done for the industry is present a solution how to continue the game after the death. And the player dies, but he continues the gameplay, and he still can find his lost resources and fight some enemies that killed him before, but without the game over state. And you don't need to call those games Souls-like, the games that use the same mechanic. And I think that in the future, some games that use the Metroidvania style of exploration won't be called Metroidvanias, like for example God of War, because I don't recall any reviews saying it's one of the greatest Metroidvania or something like that.
Yeah, it's because that's the thing. Because of when people think of Metroidvania, they think of 2D Metroidvanias, like Metroid, like Ori, like Shadow Complex. They don't realize that Metroidvania isn't about the camera perspective. Metroidvania is the exploration element and then gaining new powers to unlock other areas, which has been done in 3D plenty. Rise of the Tomb Raider is probably my favorite 3D Metroidvania. Rise of the Tomb Raider was amazing. And I remember playing God of War 2018, and about a quarter of the way through, I'm like, hold on a second, they've turned God of War into a Metroidvania.
Wait a minute.
It's just one solution for many different problems. How to reuse the environment, how to make it fresh when you come back, how to make the game longer without adding constantly new environments. There are so many solutions in this one set of ideas that create Metroidvania. That it's awesome to have this in your arsenal, and you can attach it to your game and still try so many different twists and take, and you can add and remove. One of the best Metroidvanias that I have played is The Witness, for example, for me. And it's because
I've never thought about it in that way.
I did
holy crap! Yeah, that's so true. Because it unlocks areas as you solve stuff, and then you go back.
Yeah, and the genius part is that those power-ups that you find there are here, but you need to be learned how to use them.
Yeah,
so it's so cool to go into one area and learn about some mechanic, how to interpret those puzzles. And this power-up unlocks in your head, and now you, as a player, you've upgraded, not your character.
Yeah.
You've empowered the player with the knowledge, not like an actual power, but just knowledge on how to use a tool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird. I was playing. I reviewed Lego. Oh God, there've been a few Lego Brick Tales. right? Or I think it was Brick Tales, but it was a 3D Lego game where you went into these little dioramas and you were building up a theme park. It was very Lego, right? But you had little moments where you had to go and build stuff. But all through the game, even from the very first level, I'm like, oh, there's a thing there, but I can't do anything with that thing. And then as I got further on, I started, unlocking powers. So here was this Lego building game that had snuck in a little Metroidvania in its 3D platforming and puzzling and building, and suddenly it extended the game's replay value by like 70%, because hidden throughout all of the levels was all the stuff that you could only get when you finished the main story. And
that's why I've always loved the genre ever since I was a kid. Like, because it's the one of the best genres because of that fact. Like, the game is showing you this thing, and you're, as a gamer, your instinct is, let me unlock it, let me do it, let me interact with it. But you can't. You're gonna have to remember and then come back. Like, it's funny for like even Zelda. I always thought of The Legend of Zelda as a Metroidvania, but it was never called a Metroidvania. But it really always was.
Yeah.
And like that's Nintendo's lineage. Metroid, Zelda, they're all effectively Metroidvanias. Like Ocarina of Time, that's all you're doing. You get the sword, and then you can go back here. Then you get this power, then you can go back here. Then it's just it's a genre that I've loved for 30 years. It's
mind blowing how little those terms are connected or used. Zelda and Metroidvania, when it's one of the clearer examples, right?
Yeah, it always has been, and you never see anyone call Zelda a Metroidvania, but technically it is. I just wish there was a better term for that, because Metroidvania is almost a bit reductive now as a term for that genre.
Yeah, and the same goes for Souls-likes, for example, because it's a very similar situation. You want to not to have the game over state, so you figure out the way that the player can have the consequences of the previous life to continue on this one, and you unfortunately risk being called Souls-like.
Yeah.
And some people will, from the get-go, assume, it's gonna be hard. It's maybe not for me. It's probably gonna have a very vague story. And so on and so on. Yeah, it's a blessing and a trap in some cases.
Yes,
definitely. That's so weird. I'm going to keep an eye out for that even more. Right, like who's getting Metroidvania in the other genres? We're gonna have to start being the outlet that calls this out.
The thing is, though, the way games work now, like games are a lot harder to pin down a genre in today, more so than 20, 30 years ago. Like. And that's just a technological thing. That's an evolution thing. Like, games now blend so many elements from so many different genres into one game that it's almost hard. Like, yes, God of War is effectively a Metroidvania, but it's also a third-person action game. But it's also got MMORPG elements in it. And it's also got... Like, they just blend so many bits and pieces into these games now that it's... I don't know. It's almost hard to pin down a genre now. Yeah, because they just do so much.
And it's for the better. For
for sure.
I love it. Yeah, I love it when I can't pinpoint how to describe the game to someone. And someone is like, "Are you sure this game is like?" Not focused, and I'm not. No. It all perfectly works with each other, but it's just something new, something fresh. And all it took is, for example, like with the Metal Hellsinger, to connect the Guitar Hero with Doom, and it's really simple, but it's such a cool concept.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah,
it's so funny. I'm curious, we've talked a lot about, the history of the studio. We've talked a lot about, how excited the team were to sort of see it. But where did the actual inspiration, where did the idea of this character, the whole Lovecraftian piece, where did that element kind of come into being? Was that all from your brain, or was this like a group think? I'm curious. If you can divulge, of course.
Sure. So, the initial idea came from me because I had a dream about a game about this character, and once I woke up, I scribbled the idea down, and I thought to myself, "Oh, this might be cool. Let's leave it for later." I had a notebook for ideas, but back then I was, sculpting 3D feet, so so I was like, what to do with this
You were
idea?
doing what was bringing in the money.
Yeah, exactly. And in nowadays would probably also bring like the fame and the followers.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. But I went, but this would be too mainstream, so I went with a game.
It's the wise decision, my friend.
Yeah,
Wise decision.
Exactly. But initially, it was I thought about the comic book maybe because I'm a graphic designer, so I thought how to visually maybe use this idea. So firstly, it was a comic book idea. Then maybe a game, but I thought about a 2D pixel art game, and then I had to shelve it for like a few years.
Oh.
And after those few years, after some time and few successes of our company, and after porting the Drift Zone, the Drift Zone part was for a while like a closed project. It was successful. We want to do something new. Yeah. Let's collect some ideas for a story-based game because it was always our dream. And I've pitched the idea. We've played this RPG sessions, and we liked the story. We started constructing the team around, and firstly it was like 3 people in one corner working on the game, then 5 people, then 10 people. Then the COVID hit, and we were forced to make a decision and focus only on one project. And the boss decided that let's try with the Benedict. So the whole team joined the effort. And from then on, we were working as a full crew. We started at around, we've created the PlotTwist as a company back then.
Yeah.
So we started at around maybe 21 people. And right now we are probably like 31 with some contractors.
Wow. Wow, and I was going to ask, like, how big's the dev team? So 31 people are making something that pretty.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you guys should be proud of yourselves. Like, that's even more insane to me now. I'm like, what? I mean,
maybe there would be more even if it would be easier to find people to work with. It's very hard to. It's either find a fresh guy and teach him all the stuff, but we're now at a point where we need immediate results. So we need experienced guys, at least in some areas. So for example, when we were short on animators, we searched through traditional 2D animations, and we found extremely good animators that just had to be taught the 3D part. So it's at least half of the problem was gone because they knew the animations, they knew the theory, and they were talented. They just only had to learn the tool.
Wow.
And we also it's very tough for a new company to attract talented people, especially when they have like CD Projekt or Techland, or even in our city in Krakow, we have Bluebird a few kilometers away, and with some bigger projects, better known projects. So it actually was even bigger deal to be featured on the reveal, because after the reveal at E3 we had so much more exposure and so much more people contacted us asking whether we are searching for actors, for animators, for coders. and so on.
Yeah, that's good. Man, don't worry about those other games in Poland, mate. Your game is the best one being made in Poland right now. Don't worry about all the other games. Silent Hill. Don't worry about Silent Hill. Don't worry about Silent Hill. Don't worry about Witcher. Benedict Fox is the best game being made in Poland right now, mate. Don't worry.
No
We
lies.
have to believe this.
Hey, no, for me, Benedict Fox is the one, man. I'm not playing a game as big as The Witcher.
Okay. I'm gonna scratch you off the blacklist.
Don't listen to him, Bartek. He's a hype man. You know, you need someone who loves all the cutscenes to play. Don't fall for it.
I'll watch them. I promise I'll watch them.
You
I'll
better.
watch the cutscenes.
You better. Okay,
at least agree with me that gameplay is king. Gameplay is always number one.
Well, of course. You can,
that was a wise dodge, Bartek. That was a wise dodge. Don't engage him on this topic.
But you also have to agree that for sure there were games with mediocre or no gameplay that you liked. Or not at all.
Mediocre. Or no gameplay that I liked.
Crackdown 3.
Crackdown didn't have crap gameplay. Crackdown was perfectly fine. I'm not saying it was the best. I'm just
biting, man. You bit.
The only games that come to mind that are like, I liked Tales from the Borderlands, which is a story-driven game. Like it's effectively an interactive visual novel.
Exactly. Yeah.
I didn't mind Tales from the Borderlands, but I went into that knowing that that's what I was there for. I was there for the story. I wasn't there for the gameplay.
Yeah.
But if it's a Metroidvania, if it's a 3D action game, if it's a racing game, if it's a shooter, I'm there for the game first.
Sure.
And all those other parts come later. But again, I've always said I'm sure that's an age thing. Because I'm older and I grew up in the arcades, arcade games didn't have stories. Arcade games were just the games, and they were designed to just keep taking money out of you.
Yeah.
And it was purely about the gameplay. So that's how I grew up. So that has stuck with me throughout games my entire life. All I've ever cared about, number one, is how the game feels to play. If your game feels great, you've basically already won the battle with me.
Yeah. So for me, it started the same, but it's super cool to see like the huge new generation of casual players that can appreciate the game for other aspects.
Yeah,
and
of course.
It somehow showed me how to enjoy some of the titles more, because some of the titles that I've played and enjoyed for the last 2 years or 3 years, some of them I would quit after 15 minutes to 1 hour, but thought to myself, like chill out, man, enjoy the story, enjoy the ride, and even if something is janky or not perfect, take it for what it is. And try to squeeze everything they got from other elements. And for me, for example, one of such titles was Vampire. It was such a good story, so well written and told, and the world was created in such an elegant way that I didn't mind at all that the combat was repetitive. It wasn't it was kind of shallow maybe, but everything else was so good that that something clicked in my head, and now I'm a different player. I think I don't search for gameplay as much, at least, as I did before.
That's fair. That's fair. I think that's, and I think that there's a mix between the two. Like there are plenty of games that I've loved that have little to no gameplay but tell a really good yarn. And like even
Look
Nick
at
and
Brothers.
Nick and I have discussed
Two
this.
Sons.
And we go to that game, and the thing that we always espouse and love about this medium is games that embrace the medium itself as a storytelling mechanism. So it's not about trying to be a movie and hiring big name actors to deliver voice lines written by someone that thinks it sounds cool and I'm going to deal with something really heavy and emotional. But no, what that game did was it used the very thing that we use to interact.
That's right. Right.
To tell and deliver an emotional blow. That is where I think gaming can start to really push boundaries, and it's why I always look out for whatever Hazelight, I think, is the studio, right? They did It Takes Two as well, which I don't know if have you played that?
Yes.
Man, completely nuts of a story, but it serves as a vehicle for some of the most impeccable variety of gameplay and fun. And look, I don't care. I laughed at the murdering of the elephant toy. I laughed maniacally. Because it was funny, but I've seen other people be like, I was so offended. I'm like, it's just a game, man. It's having a laugh with it. It knows that it's dark and wrong. That's the point. That's why it's funny. But
I remember, for example, when I finished Inside, and I was like running to work to talk with people how good it was.
Right.
And one of the first opinions that I've heard, I've opened the door and I've heard that guys are already talking about it, and one of the guys was like, it was the worst game I've played. And I was like, what? I need to right now. Yeah, because it lacked gameplay for him. So for him,
I get it.
Yeah. It was.
Oh no, I liked Inside. I did like Inside.
I loved Inside. Yeah, but for him, it was just a tad too little over a walking simulation.
Yeah. I understand that.
Walking sim is a negative term, and for me, maybe it was until I played the What Remains of Edith Finch, which I loved.
That's an incredible game, and that's using gameplay to tell a story.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to state for the record, just when you're thinking about handing out the review copies for Benedict Fox, I gave Last of Edith Finch a 10 because of its, and Inside was also a 10 because of what it did from a medium. Nick didn't think it was worth a 10. I'm just saying, if you want a man that didn't think Inside was worth a 10 at the hands,
I gave Ori.
Sell our integrity.
I gave Ori 9.5. Hold on, I gave Ori a 9.5. Thank you very much.
Oh dear, it doesn't.
I mean, I'm doing it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Jesse does actually get all the actual calls because he actually reviews a lot of games. So.
See, for me, I still think that. Again, for me personally, I still think that ultimate execution of a game that was still a good game, but then also told the story through the game itself rather than relying on cutscenes was BioShock. BioShock for me is still the best one. I knew everything that was going on without watching any cutscenes, and the twist still blew my mind at the end.
Yeah.
Without having had to sit down and watch anything. It was all just done in-game, all of it. Through audio logs, through the guy coming through the speaker, through all that sort of stuff. And then right at the end when he goes, would you kindly? And I was like, oh, no way. And I'm like, I'm racking my brain and I'm thinking back and I'm like, does that mean I could have like not pulled all the levers and pushed all the buttons? And it was just...
Yeah.
The cool thing about that is it makes you think that way, but you know that you won't.
Oh, you know you can't.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. It screws with your head.
Yeah, oddly enough, it's a similar situation as with The Witness, right? You as a player were manipulated, not the character, right?
Yes.
So, in a way, of course. And it's such a powerful tool when your successes and your failures as a player and what you feel as a human corresponds what the character on the screen feels and witnesses and so on. It's such an advantage for the games over other media.
Yes, that's exactly right.
It's not talked enough, probably, and
Correct.
It's a game changer. Yeah.
Yes, and that's the only reason I get frustrated sometimes with games where there's just such a focus on the cutscenes and the movies and all that sort of stuff, because I feel like the gaming industry can't truly evolve to the level it should if it's still relying so much on other mediums to do so much of the heavy lifting for it. So, you know, I was saying last week, because I've been playing through God of War Ragnarok, like there's just so many cutscenes in there, and it's doing so much of its storytelling through the cutscenes. And that's despite the fact that you always have a companion with you anyway that's just talking to you. And they could be delivering most of it that way.
I've heard a lot of the criticism recently, actually, for that has been the companions. That it's got to the point where they don't even give you the time of day to actually solve a puzzle for yourself. It's like, here's how to do it. Oh,
Yeah.
It's a major continuation of the Alloy problem, where she's constantly just saying the puzzle solution to herself. Except for it's people in the game. The moment you do something, they then tell you the next step. It's pretty egregious. And for your point, Nick, of a way to enhance storytelling in games, and it's unfortunate because it won't be mainstream, but the storytelling in Half-Life Alyx in VR is some of the best, most immersive I've ever seen. But it only works like you start playing that game, and the 2D version people have hacked into it with mods without VR, and it doesn't hit the same. But it really works there.
Yeah, I bet that's true as well. VR's great for certain types. Like I actually remember, and are you a fan, Bartek, of virtual reality as a medium?
Not
Nick
yet.
likes to browse a lot of web on it. Web browsing, particularly, is Nick's forte. We'll leave it there. But there's one game,
I'm not a big VR guy.
There's one game I would recommend you try if you get a chance from a storytelling perspective, and I need to go and buy the sequel, to be honest with you. It was, and now I've forgotten the name of it. Come on, Jesse, help me out. There's the space one made by Oculus Studio, Ready at Dawn.
Oh,
come on. It's going to drive me nuts if I don't remember the name.
Somebody say it in chat.
I can't remember it either.
Someone in chat will remember it.
Not Adrift.
No, it's not that. But the nutshell is, at some point in the game, the human companion, who you are just an AI robot, right? So whenever you die, you just come out of the shelf and your brain gets downloaded. Lone Echo, thank you, Rondrus, in the chat.
Yes,
coming to the rescue. There's a point in the game, spoiler alert, it's like 4 years old, people can deal with it. The captain atmosphere is compromised, right? And she dies. And I've been playing, and it's only like a 5-6 hour game, maybe, max. I've been playing, and the voice acting is really good. It's a professional English actor, and she's really putting her heart and soul to it. She's obviously been motion captured in VR, and obviously she's there. I'm interacting with her, and I'm there giving CPR in VR, and I'm like, and I'm genuine. I was like, come on, like, because I cared about the cat, and that's the kind of cool stuff I love in gaming. But yeah, go figure. Need to buy the sequel because it looked cool. It had aliens in it. It's fun. Anyways, so the last case of Benedict Fox, I know you wouldn't give a date. Are we expecting this in the year of our Lord 2023?
Well, we said spring.
Yes.
Spring 2023. Yeah.
Man, it's a packed year next year.
So it would be probably some time between the overlap of Q1 and Q2.
If it's February and March, it's going to be really rough. There's like 60 games already scheduled for February and March. It's crazy.
Something's going to have to give. Like it's nuts how much is actually coming out. It's a little bit terrifying.
All right, man. They're launching on Game Pass. That's okay. There's already 30 million people there waiting just to give
play
Benedict Fox a try. Mate. Don't worry.
And if you come out after Starfield, maybe it's like 40 million people waiting.
And that's the beauty of Game Pass. You know that regardless of when you release, you're going to have an audience waiting there. That'll just
that's huge for a small studio like us. It was there was absolutely no question about whether we would like to join the Game Pass or not. And as we mentioned, we didn't need the money, so we just wanted players. And if there is one thing that's super huge on Game Pass, it allows you to connect with players. And for us to make our name with this title, it was like the perfect solution.
It's a really genius way of doing it.
I mean, that's right. I mean, we were talking a bit off air, and we're not going to go into detail of what we were talking about off air, but that's the unique situation you guys were in. Like you just said, for you guys, money wasn't the concern. For you, it was all about reaching as many players as possible, and that's the beauty of. So, you know, as a game developer, you say, okay, this platform has sold this many consoles, but the traditional problem has always been, how do I get as many people as possible to buy our game, to hand over their money for the game? The beauty of Game Pass is that those people are already subscribed. They're subscribing because they want more and more and more and more content. So for your unique situation, it sounds like it was more than perfect, because money wasn't the concern. The concern was, how do we get as many people as possible playing this game?
Yeah, exactly. Because we were proud of our previous games, even if they weren't at the level that we aim for with this title. We still were sad that they didn't reach more people. And the sad reality is that it would need so much more money to reach the fraction of the players that Game Pass will allow us to reach. That it's like a no-brainer to hop in. Yeah.
And I imagine that monetary figure to increase that reach is arguably probably more on the marketing and advertising and social media spend bucket than it is on the actual development of the game, right?
Oh, yeah,
so I guess not only are you tapping into that huge library of players that, hey, we're subscribed because we want to be fed good games, but it's also marketing in and of itself. When it drops to Game Pass, you get people asking what's coming next month and all of that jazz. So it is really a great way to get eyes on to your projects in a way that I think is quite unique at the moment, until other subscription services perhaps start catching up a bit.
Yeah, and one of the biggest surprises that we've for us was how cool the people were on the Xbox side, because previously we've published the games on our own, and we've pushed them to the store, and if they'll manage, they'll manage. If they live, they live. Yeah. But the amount of support, understanding, knowledge, connections that Xbox offers, it's. I wish that every indie developer had this, because it's such a cool environment to be in. And when I went to Gamescom, it was a cultural shock for me to meet the guys, to meet Aaron or Glenn from Xbox, and see them be excited about our game. Where a few years ago I was making the feed.
Hey, hold on. People get excited about feet too.
Yeah,
lots of people.
Now they do. Now when I left the feet industry, it's a huge shebang. Yeah,
it's one of Nick's favorite things while he was browsing VR.
Industry.
I love that that's a thing now. The feet industry.
Yeah,
the feet industry.
It's super funny and extremely sad when you see how much people earn with selling feed pictures and so on. And you're like, oh man, I was in the industry.
Okay, let's be honest with ourselves. Has anyone, looked at their own feet or looked at their significant other's feet and had the "Hey, honey" conversation? No? Anyone guiltily thinking about it now?
Some guy in the chat is not right.
He's like, hey, my honey, my
Fingers
girlfriend's got
over
one of those
the-
toes that's longer than the big toe. Maybe I need to hit
Evolution
that
toe.
up.
We might need to look at launching Feet Era
Oh,
as a
yeah.
separate
Yeah.
brand. Under
Could we
Xbox
have
Era.
a spin-off game, The Last Case of Benedict Feet?
Oh,
Yeah, I
Yes.
think that's
Same game. He just runs around barefoot.
No, DLC. After you're done with the game, you start thinking about DLC.
You got to pay to take off his shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Now we're yeah.
There's something wrong. There's something wrong with you guys. Swear to God.
Oh my god. I did not expect feet discussion to be part of this show.
Yeah,
At all.
that's true.
And now we do.
Yeah, but oddly enough, it's part of my past, so I brought it with me.
Oh god. Just as long as you didn't bring it up with the guys at Xbox, that's fine.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. I've kept it a secret. I've pretended I'm a game developer and sneaked
We
in.
call those feet crits.
Yes.
Oh God.
That's exactly right. Let's not
Stop it.
do feet jokes anymore. Let's not do
Yeah,
feet
please.
jokes anymore.
Everyone needs to stop and calm down and just go take a
Oh my
lie
God.
down or something.
So back to the topic. When
Yeah,
me
where were
me
we?
and my imposter syndrome were at the Gamescom, and we were talking to Aaron, and Aaron tweeted that the developers are here and the game is cool and we can wait. And when I saw those hundreds and hundreds of replies, and it was all so nice and so supportive, it was probably the first time that I had such a cool interaction with the Xbox community, and I was completely sold back then. And I thought to myself, because back then I was, as a player, I mostly play on PC.
Yeah.
I was brought up playing on PlayStation games, and our communist version of Nintendo that we have here. It was a completely new experience, and it was mind-blowingly cool to see both people from all over the world being excited and so connected about the idea of sharing games at Xbox.
Yep. That's great. No, it's good. I don't know. I want to give the game all the attention it can get. It looks so good. And I feel like we don't get a lot of games like it.
Yeah.
So
I look forward to more. Definitely at the top of my list. So, for those watching, we're doing things a little bit differently this week, and we know we're on a little bit early, and it's mostly so that Bartek doesn't have to stay up until 3 a.m. doing an Xbox podcast. But what we would like to do is, I think we're not going to worry too much about news, right? Like, you guys read the news. Games have been released, publishers have been bought. Witcher 3 is coming out again.
Pentiment's great.
That's the news.
Yep.
Before we get into name a game and everything else, Jesse, I just want to take the opportunity. What have we got coming up on the site this week?
I know of one I'm doing. I'm not sure about anyone else. Harmonica is working on The Devil in Me, a review for that.
Yes.
We got it a day before launch, so obviously we weren't going to get it out right away. We have moved into their press groupings. Otherwise, we used to get it a day after launch.
Ugh.
So not much of a difference. Woo! But I am working on Evil West, which I believe comes out on the 22nd. So expect something around or a little before then.
Nice.
And otherwise, I have no idea. I've been so busy.
You have, and understandably so. So, I think that's all we really need to cover.
Yes, and it would be remiss of us to tell everyone if you're liking. I mean, I've been loving the chat we've been having with Bartek. If you've been liking the chat we've been having with Bartek, hit that like button as well. How many people are watching at the moment?
We're almost 1-to-1 on watching to liking. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think because we normally go a little bit later, Bartek, because we avoid the other Xbox podcast. We don't talk about those guys. So I think we're going to do name a game, but before we do that, we like to say a big thank you to our patrons. Big thank you to all of our wonderful patrons for helping us make XboxEra what it is. We are behind, as a heads up to current subscribing patrons. We are behind because everything has been so crazy. We're behind on updating our merch, so we're going to change things out a little bit to make up for it by putting something fancier in, like another mug or something like that. So we might put a poll up in the forum to let people vote on a few designs before we update that this month. And additionally, I owe an apology to all the podcast listeners. My work week went insane. I can't go into details as to why, but everything was a bit crazy, and I haven't had a chance to do.
The show started up with someone yelling, "When do we get it on Spotify?"
I know. I haven't even loaded up last week's episode yet on Spotify. That's how bad my life is. So apologies, but I'm going to do it tomorrow. I've got nothing planned, nothing at all, apart from editing podcasts. So we'll take care of it then. For those of us that are watching, and for Bartek's benefit, you may have seen it on some previous episodes. We've recently introduced a wonderful new segment called Name a Game. And Bartek has kindly agreed to be the Quizmaster for this iteration.
Yeah,
so,
to butcher the English language.
No, it's fine. Give me the advantage. It's all good. So, Jesse, do you want to? Have you got the thing to run the thing?
I'm pressing the button now.
There he goes. Okay, so Jesse, look, as the Quizmaster, you're going to have to kind of guide the temporary Quizmaster through this whole process, and Nick and I will just.
What do you mean temporary?
Oh, you're going to join the panel forever, Bartek? Sorry, Jesse, you're out.
That's fine. We'll just pre-record these and make it easier.
Bartek's going to be on weekly now to be the Quizmaster. That does he's only coming on just for Name a Game from now on. That's it.
Yeah. Who needs Saturday evenings anyway? Yeah.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, I haven't had one for the last 3 years. Neither has Nick.
You've had multiple, you liar.
Yeah, okay, all right. I wasn't going to call that out.
Yeah, I was about to say, you take weeks off. I don't.
All right.
I've lost every Sunday morning, all Mother's Day, Father's Day, all those that I lost.
But you don't like your family.
Yeah, I guess. Okay.
All right. So just start. I normally just go straight down the list. We end up doing them all. It is a best of 5. So you just say the name. I'll throw it up on the screen so people at home can see what it is, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So
okay.
Some of those words are completely new to me. So be worried. Yeah.
Right. What was the theme? What was the theme for this week?
What's the theme for this week, Jesse?
The theme of this week is just the biggest games of all time, essentially.
Oh, the biggest games of all time.
Old, most played.
Okay.
And the weirdest words. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, video games have really dumb names, and so it gets pretty tough on trying to find good similes for them.
Yeah. Okay. So the first one is.
First one.
1000 Larceny Vehicle 5.
John.
Nick. Oh,
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Oh, look at me paying attention to the rules of saying my name first.
Yeah. Okay.
Second one is Beastly Intersection, Recent Boundaries.
Beastly Intersection.
Intersections.
Recent Boundaries.
Yes. I believe so.
Yep.
Beastly Intersections. Oh, this one's going to kill me.
Oh, John.
Oh, Nick.
John wins. Go.
This was played a lot in my house in 2020 during the year of the pandemic, and I believe the answer is Animal Crossing. I've forgotten the subtitle.
Recent
New Horizons.
Boom.
Nice.
Both of them, we got it almost the exact same time.
Okay. So the third one, Signal of Burden, Contemporary Clash.
Signal of Burden. Signal of burden, temporary clash.
Contemporary clash, sorry.
Contemporary clash.
John.
John got it.
Call of Duty, Modern Warfare.
Didn't we do that one last week?
There's gonna be repeats, man. It's
Yeah,
so
but-
hard to get things at work.
Yeah, but with different synonyms.
Well, I just steamed through with an easy victory.
Wow.
The rest are just for fun now, boys and girls.
Okay,
Just for
so-
fun. I can
so
relax.
That's it.
So the
two
next
all.
one, I don't know any of those words. So hominid, plunge, oblate. Maybe.
What?
Yes.
What?
Hominid, plunge, oblate.
A hominid.
hominid?
Plunge.
Alien hominid.
Yeah, okay,
Hominid.
humanoid.
Plunge.
It's gonna make a lot of sense.
Hominid. Plunge. And what was the last part?
Oblate.
Oblate.
I think Britt just got it.
I don't even know oblate.
Don't read chat.
Hominid.
Oh, chat is good.
Biggest
Plunge.
games of all time.
Oblate. What's oblate?
You're not gonna think of it as one of the biggest games, but boy, I was surprised when I found out it was. It's on Game Pass.
Yeah, huge.
Oh, this would be like a Roblox situation.
Nah, this
Oh,
is going to
wait,
be...
Nick. Wait, my son's playing this. Human Fall Flat?
Oh yeah.
My
Correct.
son is literally playing it as we speak. Like, he plays this game non-stop for some reason. I don't know why, but he just... And yesterday he goes... I was walking out of the house to get dinner, and he's sitting there, he's just sitting in this room. And I'm like... And then all of a sudden he got excited. I'm like, what's going on? He goes, oh, someone just joined my game. I made my own server. I'm like, what? He's 6. He's like, I made my own server and someone just joined my server. I'm like, okay, cool.
If I wanted
He plays this game so much.
Yeah, my little boy likes that one.
Yeah, we also have some fans in our studio. Okay,
Of course, I
another
get
one.
the one after the game's over.
Another one is the Shambling Corpse.
Real easy.
Shambling corpse.
John,
John.
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. That's right.
Oh yeah, that was a video.
I
That
make some
did
easy
get made
ones.
into a video game. Yeah, Telltale. Oh yeah, The Walking Dead was good from Telltale as well. Oh, pretty good too.
Okay. And
Next.
Another one is Deity of Strife.
Oh, Nick.
Easy.
God of War. yeah, God of War.
Yeah. And this one was actually the hardest for me, probably.
Okay.
The Replicas.
The
What?
Replicas.
The replicas.
Oh,
The replicas.
Yeah, it's somehow simple and difficult
Yep,
at the
it's
same
deep.
Yeah,
time.
at the same time.
Making these devious was my goal.
The
the replicas.
Also on Game Pass.
I'm gonna
And
feel
it's
so dumb for
huge.
not getting this one.
One of the biggest games ever.
Yeah. The replicas.
Might have even just had a new entry announced.
What? I know what a replica is, and I'm just trying to think of the game.
It's just had a new entry announced.
Yep.
Like new entry is in a new game, or a new entry is in.
Brand new mainline title.
What? The replicas.
I even stumped chat. God damn.
The replicas.
Oh my god, this one's gonna kill
No,
me.
we can't go anywhere till we've got this. I need to know. Like,
Sorry, you're
what
gonna still
this
be up
is.
till 3 a.m.
A replica, a clone, a copy. I'm just trying to think of the game. The
So you can drown people there.
A surprisingly great hint.
What? How is that a great hint?
Because it's one of the main things people like to do in the game.
Yeah,
People.
yeah, and they do it without touching the victim. Actually,
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
What the fuck? The replicas. Right, so the is a word that's not going to change.
The
So
is
just-
obviously in the title because there's no
Oh!
other word for the.
Fudge.
I can't think of this
no,
at
no,
all.
No.
Oh,
God,
got
is
it.
it?
Yeah.
10, 9, 8, 7.
Oh, hold on. I did an article. The Sims.
There you go.
Yeah.
You didn't say your name, John The Sims.
I did an article
Oh,
on it. I did the thing on it on the website. Yeah, my daughter she used to play The Sims. She doesn't play it
The
as much anymore.
replicas.
But
Well played, Jesse. That is evil.
yeah. The
Yeah, man, these things are fun to make.
Nicely
Yeah,
done,
Mike.
sir.
If I'm
Yeah,
coming
I
through very loud, I
wouldn't get this
apologize.
one.
Mike keeps jumping back to 100 from 30. It's very annoying.
I imagine that would be.
The next one is wish for acceleration, torrid hand.
John. Need for Speed. I've forgotten the subtitle. I just knew it was the first part. Need for Speed.
Feel it.
It doesn't
What?
matter. I've already won, so you can steal it if you want.
subtitle
Torrid.
makes
is
him feel good.
difficult. Yeah,
So what was the subtitle? Story.
torrid hand.
Hot
Something
Pursuit.
Chase.
Hot pursuit. Yeah.
Need for Speed. Hot Pursuit.
Hot Pursuit. There you go.
Yep. I'm getting them all after the game's over.
Yeah.
I wish
Congrats.
these ones were the ones at the start.
Another one is it's also tricky. Monumental vacationing. Vacationing. Monumental vacationing.
Monumental Vacation.
It's another thing where the word means
Oh.
something directly in English.
Yeah. Nick. Gran Turismo.
What? How did you get?
Wow, well played. Yeah.
Mm.
Well played, sir.
Gran Turismo. Hey, I'm Greek, mate. Don't worry. I know the European stuff. Don't worry.
Last week's Fear was also pretty impressive. Yeah.
Yes, Fear.
Oh god,
that's right,
Fear
yeah.
was that was nuts. I can't believe you got that.
Yeah. When he said vacationing, and then I'm like, hold on, big game. I'm like, turismo.
Whoa. With Italian accent already. Yeah.
Oh, don't worry, mate. Greeks can do any
Turismo.
accent. We can do any accent, mate. Don't worry about that. I was one of the top kids in my French class back in high school. Don't worry about that.
I was.
Are you?
I came third in a poetry competition, I think. Something like that.
Oh my god.
That's interesting. I had no
Okay.
idea you were into your prose in such a big way, my friend.
Yeah, I'm very big on pronunciation and getting it right, especially with European languages.
Even in Polish?
Yeah, I've got. Actually, it's funny. We were out at last night at a friend's house, and the wife is Polish. Her parents went back
That's
to Poland
hilarious.
recently. She hasn't seen her parents. She hasn't seen her parents for years because they've gone back home.
Even funnier.
Yeah.
And there was one last one before I need to say that one.
It's the last one, so it's competitors' nameless encounter fields.
Competitors.
Like fear is an acronym.
Competitors nameless
Encounter fields.
fields.
Very easy.
Wow. Competitors.
Player unknown battlegrounds.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
I played a lot of that, and it's pronounced PUBG. All right,
PUBG.
Don't come at me.
Okay.
Come at me. PUBG.
And it's been called PUBG PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds for a couple years until they finally dropped the second
I
part.
know, that was so weird, wasn't it? It was like both names. Very bizarre.
It's almost as the Polish pronunciation, if you think about it. PUBG would be.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
Want to do a little inside baseball? Do we want to just let this go and I leave and you can choose end stream whenever you guys are done?
What
That
from
way you're not
YouTube
rushed.
Manager?
Yes. You can just go in there and click end stream, and that will end it.
Why?
Because he's got to go.
Oh, like right now? Because we're basically done, aren't we?
We're basically done. The community questions. Let's pick them up next week for a normal episode when life's
then
back
we
to
yell at
normal.
them, hey, actually pay attention to our guest next time, you jerks.
a sub 90-minute episode, just about, and I think that's fair.
Okay.
Knowing the way things go, we'll go for like 4 hours next week.
Yeah, because we'll have twice the number of community questions. But it's been a busy week, so I think the team could use it. I know I could. I plan on actually.
Oh well, you know what? Can we just have just the one community question, the one that is like a dev one that's like aimed at Bartek, just the one?
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Just the one. So we do have one community question that is relevant to you, and it's from Topp. Mm-hmm. And he says, "Hello, panel. My sleep schedule. Thanks to you for an earlier start this week. If you could perfect one feature or mechanic in your game, what would it be?"
If I would perfect.
Yeah. So absolutely the best it could ever be.
Yeah, just perfect it. Just get it just right. If you could perfect one feature or mechanic in your game, what would it be?
Oh man, it's such a hard question. It's like it's like asking a father, "Hey,
which child is your favorite?"
Yeah, or do you want your child to have a cool feet or a nice face?
What's with the feet? And the father would answer, "Well, I do want them to make some money when they're older, so it's got to be the
right."
feet."
Or him saying like, the face is kind of wonky or something like that. Oh man, perfect. It's easiest for me to be most critical about the parts that I have the most influence on. So I write the story, or at least I lead the team that helps me write the story. And I'm most aware of all the faults in the story flow and so on. So maybe it would be for me it would be the best for me to know that this part is awesome, because I believe in my team and I know that the rest will be awesome. And it would be a huge burden off my chest if I knew that the story is perfect, and it won't let down anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Interesting.
The story has to land, Nick.
You said earlier you were a graphic designer, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, because so was I. So I was actually going to ask you if you made the logo for PlotTwist. I was just curious.
Oh, no, I didn't make the logo, but the logo is very smart.
It is. It's very cool.
Yeah.
I was just curious. Like when you mentioned it earlier,
you have the T. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you mentioned it earlier that you were a graphic designer, and again, I used to be a graphic designer, and that's why I saw the logo, and I'm like, I wonder if he did the logo. It's his company. I'm like, I wonder if he did the logo as a graphic designer.
No, actually, I didn't. We've a friend of our company who is very good at logos did this one, but oddly enough, it's our second attempt, because the first one we were very happy with the first one.
Yeah.
And just when we made it, we've ordered shit tons of graphics for the office. We ordered the business cards and so on. And maybe next day or 2 days later, by pure accident, our boss clicks on a link and sees almost perfectly same logo from some other company.
Wow.
And we were like, oh shit.
Oh, wow.
We need to change that. And then this was the second try.
Wow.
For 2 days,
that's cool.
We were on the verge of stealing someone's logo by accident.
I can imagine it happens. I mean, again, you were a designer. You know how it is. You come up with the same ideas.
And regarding the game, I've even I didn't contact the person, but there is one person. Maybe he will hear it, maybe he won't. Who is very, very upset about the idea for our game, because his idea for a character is very similar. And from what I've gathered from his posts on Twitter, he must have maybe created his character maybe a year after our idea came up, or in the same year. But he just makes some. He's a graphic designer. He makes some designs, some graphics, and posts them on his blog. So it probably has to be kind of heartbreaking for him to see a very similar idea to a character on the big screen, on reveal, powered by Xbox and so on. And to him and to all the people that sometimes get heartbroken by similar situations and they think that they are robbed or something like that, I have like 14 ideas for games, and it was and before that this list consisted of maybe 20 titles, and I regularly scratch some of them off because someone made this one. Someone exactly the same like game design decision that I thought some other game would revolve around. It's unfortunately it's a race, and
it happens. It happens for sure. Wow. I mean, clearly though, people often have really good ideas together. You know, like it's
human nature. Like there's 8 billion people on the planet. Fair to say a couple of people at the same time might have a similar idea. Like it's going to happen.
Yeah, 100%.
As much as we would like to think otherwise, we are not that unique, and our minds work in very similar fashions. But fortunately, that's why we like similar things. Like, for example, games.
I've got to call this out in the chat because we're not doing community questions. So we're going to end on this note because I think it's perfect, right? Coffee Haze Jesus with a Z. Hey, XboxEra, given the tone of Benedict Fox and where the conversation has ended up, shouldn't the episode be called Dark Souls?
SOLES, Dark Souls. Yeah, we should have renamed it.
Okay.
Hey, I like that a lot. Maybe that will be what it's called.
Rename the episode. Had no idea there was going to be such a feet focus. I did not see that coming.
Nick's like, that's my fetish. But in all seriousness, that was the plot twist.
Yes.
But in all seriousness, but it's been absolutely brilliant having you on, and we appreciate you taking the time out. As a pair of podcast hosts that were stupidly excited at the reveal of your game. We can't wait to play it in 2023. It's going to be right at the top of our lists of can't waits.
We'll get you on again closer to release.
Yeah.
Oh, it would be awesome.
Yeah.
You know, if there's any opportunities for previews, you know.
Of course. Thank you for the invitation, and as I mentioned before, thank you for supporting us from the first reveal. You were the loudest voices that praised the game, so it was a huge confidence boost for us. And for me personally, it's super awesome to see my game and your podcast, see them growing almost, laterally, right?
Concurrently, yeah. I was humbled that you had said you had watched the show before. I thought that was great.
Yeah, and I was humbled that you've noticed our game, so it's...
mate.
Swings and roundabouts.
It was so good. Everyone else was going on about High on Life, and I can't even remember all those other ones. I was like, nah, mate. Benedict
It is a
Fox.
filthy lie because Nick has never been humble. Not once.
No, I said I was humbled. Humbled. I didn't say I am humble. I said I was
Emphasis on the
humbled
bull.
that he had noticed the show and watched the show. I thought that was good.
It is good.
That was
It
cool.
is grand, in fact. But yeah, awesome. Well, look, we'll let you get on with the rest of your evening. What's left of
Yes.
it. I appreciate it's very close to midnight for you. Big thank you to the chat for hanging out and watching. We know it was a slightly different episode this week, but as you guys know, when we have guests, we like to focus on
Don't forget.
the topic. And Nick, do you want to see us out with some delightful sponsored?
Yes,
words
because we
of some
didn't say
description?
anything during the show. We got too
Please.
involved with feet and stuff. So before we go,
Hard
don't
not to.
forget we have I think we have the links in our description, I think.
Yes.
Go to drink control spelled like that. drinkcontrol.com/XboxEra. Use our code XboxEra for 10% off. Control is
Boom.
great. It's very yum.
There you go. That's the sponsorship bit done. And on that note, thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you
Yes.
next time.
And thanks for making the time. Ciao for now.
Bye bye.